that beat breakdown, boy. We had fun today.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Texas Family Fitness, Freeman Mazda Hyundai, and Worth the Poor. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Woo! It is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, and we will start our very first episode of a series that I absolutely love to do, rating the draft. And we're beginning with Tyler Smith, the Cowboys' first-round pick. We want to dive into some nuggets about him. We'll get into some film. We'll give him a rating on the value. We'll give him a rating on impact and long-term, all that good stuff. I'll explain to you once we get to that part of things. In the roundup, we got some suspension news. And you got a all-pro who has found a new home, and it's not the Cowboys, which I ain't tripping. But free agency is not over, so maybe later in the week or maybe next week, I don't know. Probably this week. We'll talk about some potential free agents that the Cowboys can still scoop up. But I'm just excited that we can now kind of go into a different direction of team building, and we're not talking about the same exact thing seem like weekly. So I'm excited to get this first part of the series going, and it was only right. It's only right to start with the first overall pick. I might not go with the number 2 pick later in the week, but we're going with the first overall pick. Cowboys' first overall pick this year. Good morning, everyone in the chat. Let me give y'all some my lady's funny shout outs in the building. Professor O was good. Frederick Williams, T Mac, Toxic Tom, Downey Burner Count. By the way, I didn't shout out Toxic on the morning show. He usually has Tom Downey's face as his icon. I'm still cracking up that he has my face from my reaction when we took Tyler Smith as the icon. I think that shit's hilarious. Let me get a clue bomb, sir. Good morning. Kymel Hart, appreciate you. My lady Michelle in the building talking about nice hoodie. She only saying that because she got me the hoodie. Thank you. John Jones, Samuel Rowe, Brian Bradford, Trip Aces, Matisse was good. Anthony Hatcher, Tommy Stoll, my bad. JoJo in the building. AJ Torres, AG the King, Gregory, Blue Star, Texas was good. Dro the Gooner, Cash Money. Our guy set it off, Chris. Captain America, Adrian Padilla in the building. Who else we got here? Over here, Primetime Phil, Grant Rain. Y'all came through early. Y'all in here mad early. Oscar. Who else over here on Facebook? Tariq. John Garcia. Chuck P. And the many more coming through. Make sure I run this back if you missed it today. Got a good one loaded up for you. Our first part of our series. It's not a new series. I did it last year, but it's a new series on A to Z. And that's rating the draft. Y'all got to let me know later if y'all dig it. Also, phone lines will be open. Call on in 351-999-3787. 351-999-3787. And we'll talk about this pick here. We'll talk about anything. But obviously today is about Tyler Smith. I see we got DA in the building. Charlie, Vincente, KD, Steve. Man, y'all still coming through. I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get this thing started and begin the show.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Oh, let's do it. This is the morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness, a solution for your fitness goals. Strive for progress, not perfection. Fitness goals are not accomplished with one workout. Progress towards your goals with Texas Family Fitness. They've got 13 different locations now in the DFW area, and I'm pretty sure all 13 look amazing. At least the one close to me is beautiful. So check those out, or hit up TexasFamilyFitness.com for more information. I don't got my other button, so we're just gonna that's how we'll move on. Tyrann Mathieu, aka the Honey Badger, has agreed to terms to basically go back home to Nolans. He is now a member of the New Orleans Saints on a 3-year, $33 million deal. The details haven't come out yet, but even if it's 33 guaranteed, you're looking at $11 million per year. It's not bad. It's not bad. But I think this is probably more of a 1 or 2 year deal and then let's see type of thing. So even better for the Saints. Now they have Marcus May and the Honey Badger as their safeties. I like it. I like both of those players. Marcus May is probably a low risk, high reward situation since he had that, I believe, Achilles injury or ACL injury, and they got him on I think, a pretty team friendly deal. So Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, your safeties you're going to have to contend with in New Orleans. And they usually have a pretty solid secondary every year in their front to match. The defense under Dennis Allen, I got to give him credit, man. He has made that defense a pretty decent defense during his time there. So, but it's really not about the D with them. It's about quarterback, Jameis Winston. Offense is Michael Thomas coming back and so forth. So we'll see if adding Honey Badger and Marcus May will help them move forward. Nuke Hopkins. Well, or suspended for 6 games for violating the league's substance abuse policy or steroid policy, one of the two. And he tested positive back in November, and I would imagine this was for trying to get back to the playoffs. Right? He was trying to get back to the playoffs. Now that I think about it, you didn't hear much from him afterwards. You heard rumors about, he's trying to get back. He may return. J.J. Watt ended up returning. He may return, but he kind of went to black, and this is probably why. He tested positive back in November with multiple banned substances and something like, not raccoon tranquilizer, some crazy tranquilizer stuff that he had. He also tested positive for it. So Nuke was trying to get back, man, to those playoffs. But here's the thing. Here's why I think this is interesting. The Cardinals started off hot last year. They're known for starting off decently but finishing terribly. Go look at how they performed without Hopkins, not counting our game, right? But go look how they performed when they didn't play the Cowboys without Hopkins. It was bad. They finished really bad after starting off something like 7-0. So if they start off bad and they're notorious for finishing bad, it's very early. It's May, but it's gonna be. Listen, it's gonna be tough for the Cardinals, I think, to overcome a slow start because notoriously they just don't finish strong. So that helps the Cowboys to me. That helps the Cowboys. Raccoon. What was it? Can somebody a beaver tranquilizer? Listen, I was close. The hell, man, beaver tranquilizer. What does that do? I don't. I'm not into the fitness world like that, but all right, okay, nope. And then finally, Tulsa's head coach, I believe, spoke with the Cowboys, and we'll have a few other quotes on him later on in the show. Today, we're talking about Tyler Smith, right? And one of the main things the first thing that Cowboys fans get to after a few of the positives with Tyler Smith is, hey, man, penalties. And Philip Montgomery, the Tulsa head coach, had this to say about Tyler Smith's penalties. He said, "Nah, I think he'll be fine in that regard." But I will say this, and I'm a little biased, so I'm going to throw this out there. Tyler plays so physical that at times he got some penalties called against him that weren't penalties. The ref saw somebody on the ground, and they were like, well, something must have happened, so I just threw a flag there. He was that dominant and that physical of a guy. That reminds me of Tyron Smith, and I'll come back to that a little bit later, but you know, there was times you watch the games with Tyron Smith and you're like, come on, man, that's not a penalty. What are we doing here? He's just dominating guys. Now, there are other times in the film of Tyler Smith. God, that's going to be rough all year. Tyron Tyler. That it wasn't just him being a physical mauler. There were other things that came to it, specifically technique, and we'll get into all that. So, you know, I went back, watched more games. Specifically, I watched all of one game. When I say all, it didn't take me 3 hours, right? You just watch all the plays that he was in from the offensive line standpoint. And the more and more you watch, the more and more you see that potential, not just inside, but you see that potential. So we'll get into rating the draft with Tyler Smith. Before we do that, let me get into the chat real quick. We got a phone call. I want to hit that. I want to kind of clear that up before we jump into this. All right. So just call him Little T, Sky. Little T. All right. Little T, Big T. That might not be a bad idea, but I got to figure something out. You know, maybe we're just going to continue. We're just going to call Tyron 77. I don't know, but we got to figure something out. Let's see. Chat, fill this up with Raccoon. Professor, I got a feeling you're not going to let me live that one down. Got a feeling. I ain't mad at you. What the hell was I thinking? Let's get James from Cali real quick on the horn, and then we'll start the series. What's up, James from Cali?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's good with you?
Go on. Yeah. Like I think I told you this a couple of days ago. I think when I had called you. As far as grading him, like I said, I think a lot of us at first, we were like, what? Because I think a lot of us didn't know really who he was, let alone, have ever really watched Tulsa college football. You know what I mean? So, but from watching film, watching you, and especially Botch breaking down. Well, I don't know if you broke him down yet, but I know Botch has. And if you have him at guard, he's got a lot of potential. As far as in the running game, he blocks pretty well. He seals pretty well when you need to seal off the inside. So I think that will be pretty good. But tackle, I hope never happens. I don't know if he's got the traits, as you like to say, to fill that spot.
Let me say this, James.
Go ahead.
On the tackle situation, I actually think he has the traits, right? He doesn't have the discipline. He doesn't have the technique. And you can't afford to be technically deficient at tackle, because definitely, especially on the blind side, which is why he should be moved inside early, which is why he's going to be moved inside early. But there are traits. It's just a matter of, will they be refined by the time they want to move him out? If not, I say don't play with that. You can't have a guy out there that's sloppy.
Right. That is definitely for sure. So I guess my question is then, do you think I would probably say at the moment, no. I mean, do you kind of feel at some point they probably will, or you just think it's just going to be too much of a project and just keep him at guard and leave him there? I mean, what would you do?
Well, stay tuned. I will be talking about that later in later in the show.
Yeah,
bro.
Right. Well, like I say, the raw talent, the potential, like I said, at guard, the raw talent's there. Duke can block. I've seen it. So,
yeah.
But other than that, Will, I think everybody at this point just needs to get out of their feelings and just realize he and these other guys are on the team. Just give them a chance and see what they can do.
100% agree, bro.
That's pretty much all I got.
Thanks, James.
All right. Have a good day.
So, yeah. And for me, it was quickly for me. Soon as the pick was made, obviously I saw my reaction. And it wasn't him. There were players that I personally liked on the board. But I took that breath, took my headphones off, took a sip. Onward. Let's go. Because it was a position that the Cowboys needed. And I do think he's going to be a good guard, and we'll talk about why here in a second. But when you hear this young man speak and you read some of the things that they talk about or that he said, it's really easy to see why teams loved his mentality, right? Teams loved his football IQ, and it's not just from a football IQ standpoint, determination, but the mental toughness. Tyler Smith had a lot of quotes that I heard him say and then that I've read over the last few days that I really like. And one of my favorite ones is this one right here. Anybody who steps across from me is kind of like an enemy. And I got to make sure when I put them down, they're going to think twice about getting back up. I keep bringing up the attitude aspect of things, but I think it's very important to set a tone, to be a tone setter up front, especially on a team that needs to be more balanced. And the more you see him play, the more you hear him talk, it's just like, at the very least, that's something you can love about the pick if you don't like the pick in general, right? You can love that about him. So let's start this rating the draft. And for those who are not familiar with what we do here, let me tell you. I have 3 categories. I don't really grade. It's more fun to do it this way. 3 categories on the draft picks that I think are easier to dive into than just flat out grades. Number 1 is value. Number 2 is year 1 impact. And number 3 is long-term outlook. And we rate them from 1 to 5 stars. Okay? You guys can play along as well, but I'm going to give you my ratings on Tyler Smith. Now, before we, jump right into the ratings itself, there's some cool things about Tyler Smith, some nuggets that I think we should know about him. And one of the things that I discovered in doing some more research on him that I did not know, but which makes sense, right? Which makes sense, is that he used to play defensive line until his sophomore year in high school. And I'm like, well, that explains why he's so physical. That explains why he's so, in your face, want to put you in the dirt. And he plays like a defensive player sometimes, right? The story behind him switching from defense to offense line is pretty interesting as well. The coach came to him after their quarterback got hurt, which was his friend on the team. Apparently, the quarterback injured his spine. And that offended Tyler Smith. He said, yeah, I'll switch over. I'm going to want to protect this quarterback, any quarterback, because this is my friend. And that whole bodyguard type of mentality, protect this house mentality. And I think the rest is history in regards to his demeanor of how he plays. Another thing I thought was very interesting is that, he ran track. You don't really see big boys run track. He ran the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 800s in track. For a guy 6'5", 324 pounds, now he wasn't 324 at that time, but that's impressive. And you really see that raw athleticism on tape. But this might be my favorite quote from him, and there's a lot of great quotes from him. My dream is to become one of the best, and I felt like I could only do that going against the best in the world. I'm in pursuit of that gold jacket because if you're not chasing that gold jacket, what are you doing it for? Listen, I am big on mental capacity. And I'm not talking about just football IQ. Wanting to be great, that matters a lot to me. You're not always going to reach that ceiling, right? You're not always going to be a Hall of Famer or an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. But the want to is important because I know you're going to work to get there. Just not being happy being in the league. Just not being happy being, picked. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's just talk. That's cool. I totally understand. You want to see him walk the walk. But I think if you watch the kid, you can see that he's trying to walk the walk. But he's saying all the right things. And I don't think it's just because it's cliche talk. I just think it's genuinely this guy. And if that can rub, other players that way, great. Sounds like leadership traits to me. But I just absolutely love to hear him say he's going for a gold jacket. And he's putting in the work to do so. So let's start off with my first category, and that's value for offensive tackle / guard Tyler Smith. Remember, you can play along. I'm going to give the value 2 stars here. Now, this isn't a reflection on him. This is about where he was picked. With the consensus, I think top 2 to 3 players at the position that were still on the board, I think they clearly ignored BPA here, right? According to us. Now, to them, it's a different story. But I do personally think they ignored the BPA situation there. So I'm going to ding them a bit for the value aspect. You had the top center, I think, still on the board. You had the top linebacker, a top 3 or 4 edge rusher, all on a board to take essentially, which was what, the 6th or 7th offensive lineman. Which, again, this is subjective. This is our value. To the Cowboys, they'll tell you straight up, he was our 16th ranked player in the entire draft. Sure. Okay. Sure. But it's hard for me to really award them a higher rating here because that was, what was still available on the board in regards to value. So I gave them 2 stars. I felt like if they really wanted to, they could have got a guard later in the draft. But again, as you dive into Tyler Smith more, I think you understand why they fell in love with the kid. I do. So I got 2 stars on the value. Let me know what you guys think. Toxic says 2 stars. Adrian gives him a 3. Professor O, 1. Yeah. 2 stars from Swain, 3 from Gregory, 3 from Henry, 2.5 from Jacob. And stick around because later you'll see that there's potential to have movement on the value aspect of Tyler Smith. 4 from Sonny. That is interesting. That is very interesting on the 4 spot. 3 things. Oh, okay, so 3 from Robbie, 2.5. I guess we can award stars. 0. Again, Derek, you're not participating correctly here, brother. We just talking about Tyler Smith here. I guess if you're gonna give zeros for everybody, then that's fine. 1 star from TC915, 2 from Jesse. Consensus here seems to be about 2-3 stars on Tyler Smith. On the value. All right, let's get to year 1 impact. I actually have this as an emphatic 5 stars. Without a doubt, this is a 5-star one to me, man. I think he comes in immediately and he's your starting left guard day 1. And the one thing I believe he will affect in a positive way early on is in the run game, right? We talked about this plenty of times. He led all FBS tackles in big-time blocks in 2021, more than any of the top tackles taken in front of him. He just moves people, folks. He shows that power. He finishes. I think he's equipped athletically to get outside on the pulls, on the reach blocks, and get to the second level. I think he plays with that violent nature and the mental fortitude of, hey, young fella, you're going for a ride. One way or another, I'm going to put you in this dirt or I'm going to drive you to the sidelines. And that's just something we didn't have at that position last year. And I think that's because of the defensive background that comes into play. And he actually talks about having to kind of keep that under control. He says the biggest part of that is trusting the process. Everything is not going to come fast on the O-line. It's not like you're just running through somebody like on the D-line and you're just putting somebody down or working on a move. You're working on how to stop some of the best athletes on the field, and doing these moves, you're trying to put the dude into one of the quietest nights of his life. You love to hear it. Now, where he can get better at, obviously, and where there would be, I think, maybe a negative impact early on, is that he'll probably get beat from a technique standpoint. When you look at his pass blocking, once he's locked into you with his hands, it's pretty much a wrap. In a way, it kind of reminds me of Tyron Smith. But the obvious difference is Tyron does it at a very high consistency rate, where Tyler needs work on his discipline, his hand discipline, and his technique. Now, he may not give up as much ground from a power perspective as Connor Williams, but we'll have to see if that's negated by his fundamentals, which are extremely raw and needs work, obviously. Now, this is what Tyler Smith's coach at Tulsa had to say about his technique. his hands got wide at times. Once he gets his hands back inside and corrects some of those technical things, he can be a beast. Like I said, I watched the Houston game, and there was a reoccurring theme every time he was beat. It was either his hand placement or his strike timing wasn't right, or he was setting too wide, opening his hips for the defender to cross his face. The good thing is I think these things can be coached. I do. But I did find it funny and almost kind of comical when players, specifically number 12, they tried to run right down the middle on Tyler. It was almost comical because he anchors really well. He's extremely strong. So it's going to be tough for anybody to just beat him down the middle of his chest. And that's kind of where you're going to have to beat him at the guard position. But these plays you see here are why at tackle, it just slow down. He needs a lot of work out there. Now, he is working with, I believe, Marcus Cannon to help with his hand placement, his footwork, his kick step, et cetera, all the things that you need to be a left tackle. So, you love to hear that. You love to hear that he's determined to be better. And I think all of us agree that the Cowboys fans would love to see him go work with offensive line guru Big Duke. He's pretty much one of the main reasons why Terrence Steele has turned into a pretty solid tackle in the NFL. So if you hear that Tyler is working with Duke, that's awesome. But right now, the fact that he's working with Marcus Cannon, an NFL player, on all those things that he knows he needs to get better at, you love to hear it. So I'm giving year one impact a 5 stars. I think he's going to help with the run game early from a positive impact standpoint. But on the negative side, I think you may see him give up some plays from a technique side of things. What do you guys got here? 4 stars, 5, 3, 5, 4. I think this is pretty consensus here that Tyler Smith's impact year one is going to be high. 4 stars, Chris, Jesse. 5 stars from Tone. 3 stars on year one impact. Okay, that was the lowest one. Year one impact, 2.5 stars. Okay, Professor O, and then you give 4 in the long term. We'll get to that in a second. Flo, he's a really smart kid with NFL coaching. I think he learns fast. That's the other thing, right? Like, how quick can he pick things up? If he can, year one impact can go even higher. 4 stars from J Can 38. 3 stars from Adrian. 5, 4, 4. And again, the negative plays that I showed were purposeful. I literally took out the negative plays. So it's easy to be like, he's holding. But you can go and grab a bunch of negative plays from everyone. I wanted to do that specifically so you can see where exactly he's struggling at when he gets beat. Throughout the entirety of the game, there were more plays he stonewalled number 12 and 92 than the plays he got beat, like a lot more. But I wanted to show the ones where he got beat so you guys can literally see the issue with him as a young tackle. Now, that's at tackle. The hip problem, right, getting beat, that's tackle. Moving him inside immediately helps mitigate some of those issues. Immediately. All right, let's get to long-term outlook. I gave this one 4 stars because I think he does have staying power and the tools to stick at left guard, the attitude, the toughness to be a long-term left guard. But this could go up or down depending on his future at left tackle if they decide to do that. And what I mean is, if they decide to move him out to left tackle, say next year, because Tyron Smith continues to lose, his health, right? And he's not ready, this can be knocked down to 2 or 3 stars, depending on, if that hurts the kid and if that has a negative long-term effect. But if it works, if they move him out to left tackle next year or the following year, that could be bumped up to a 5. And the same could be said for value. And I've been saying this ever since the Cowboys drafted him. You have to wonder if the reason why they did take him and consensus believe they reached is because he has left tackle ability according to them. This is what his coach had to say about the prospects of him moving inside early. I think starting him off inside, getting some experience in there, it'll give them some immediate help. He's so strong, so athletic. When he locks on to people, it's done. But I think it gives him an opportunity to mature a little bit, and I think he'll slide out there to tackle and be one of the best there is. Now, the quote that I took from that, the word from that quote that I took was maturity. And I'm not talking about like mentally, right? Like he's not an immature kid, but he's immature at the position because he's kind of newish to it. Most offensive linemen that know their offensive linemen from day one, from Pee Wee football all the way through college, they are practicing and they're playing and they're training, they're going to clinics, all this stuff as an offensive lineman. Tyler switched from defense to offense in the middle of high school, so he's still maturing as a tackle, as an offensive lineman in general. So I love that he said the maturity. Once he gets mature, then you can think about moving him outside. Now, am I for moving him outside long term? Not just yet, right? I want to see, I want to see or hear these things from the coaching staff that, he's ready, or, he believes that he's ready to do that. And that could take 2 or 3 years, or it may not happen at all, which is why I still have him as a 4-star in regards to long-term outlook, because I think as a guard, he has immense staying power, and he's a prototypical nasty guard. He just got to clean up some of his technique things, and I think that can happen from the inside. So what do you guys think here? Long-term, 5, 4 from Brandon, 4 from Peter, 4 from Hatch. Give him 3 from Clumsy, 5 from Aaron, 4 on the long-term outlook. Gregor gave him like 10 stars. 5 from T-Mac, Big Sarge, the 5 stars. John, 5. Rohan, 4. So we're looking at 4 or 5 stars on it. Look, QG said he broke my scale on the long-term outlook. So that's where I'm at. From a value standpoint, I gave it a 2 because what was still on the board, and you still obviously could have got a guard later. From a year 1 impact, I gave that a 5, and from a long-term outlook, I gave that 4 stars. So that is our very, very first edition of Rating the Draft. For those that are new, that is kind of how these things will go. We'll dive into detail on said player, pull up some film, get some nuggets about the player, and then we'll rate them on the scale of value, year 1 impact, and long-term outlook. I like doing that much better than all that was a C. There's so much into, context. Y'all know me, context matters, and that I like to talk about. There's some cool talking points in regards to context that we can get into and kind of put ourselves in a mental state of, what this draft pick is and can be as he develops. Jason says, when is Sam? I thought about doing Sam next. I thought about just literally going in order, but I haven't really talked about Tolbert in detail yet and Ferguson, so I'm kind of excited to do that. So Sam may be this week. We'll see. I may just go in order. We got a long time. We've got a long time between now and even rookie mini camps and training camps. So we are going to slow roll this thing, because the last thing you want to do is do everything in 1 week, and now you're just sitting here regurgitating things. So we got a ways to go. There were a couple super chats. Let me go find those real quick so I can read those out. Y'all know me. Got to get to that. And then we'll hit the phone lines and get back into the chat, man. By the way, if you're in here, we got about 270 folks in here on the YouTube side. Hit that like button, please. Do your boy a favor. We're trying to continue to grow this thing. Oh, you got jokes, Jacob. He said, when is the undrafted free agents? Ain't happening. I'm not doing a rating the draft for those guys. It's like 30 of them. But we'll dive into those guys later. All right, Toxic Tom. Do I got my super chat button back? Yep, I do.
Super chat.
Appreciate you, man. Actually, that was yesterday. Grande Poppy, $5 donation. He says he would be learning from one of the best guards in the league, and as a Hall of Famer, don't sleep on that. Ask Terrence Steele. Very, very important and great observation, right? And here's the dope thing. He's going to be learning from not just Zach Martin as a guard, but Tyron Smith as a tackle, all while still developing off the field on his own right. So it really comes down to one thing with Tyler Smith, and that's just development. That's just technique, you know. If that gets cleaned up, I think you really got yourself a stalwart at either position that you want. But I think personally, offensive guard. Toxic Ryan, all 5-star. Blue Star, excellent question. We got 29 players altogether. How many you think can make the team? Not as many as people think. I mean, if you leave it up to the fans, all these young bucks is making the squad. This person, that person. But once we take a step back from the draft weekend and you start looking into the roster, you really don't want a bunch of undrafted guys making the team. You really, in a way, you kind of don't want all your picks if you got 7th rounders and 6th rounders making it either. But Dallas loves to protect those guys, so it's really going to be interesting. And trust me, I got a show lined up for those that are. It's going to be a hard climb to make the roster, even draft picks. I got a show for y'all. We'll talk about that at some point, but you want it to be really hard for late round picks and undrafted free agents to make the team. You do. And not because you're showing favoritism, but because you just got a good roster. That's what you want. All right, man. We had Reek on hold, so let's get to Reek. What's good brother?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on, Sky? What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, man. Get them likes up. You heard what Sky said. My whole thing is like this, man. I love the kid's attitude, man, yeah. And it's funny to me. A lot of Cowboy fans sound weird. They sound like weirdos, man. In the sense, and no disrespect to none of y'all, but my whole thing is like this. I'm gonna explain myself. The weirdo part comes from everybody seen a couple years back. Dak whole damn leg his whole damn foot was hanging off his leg. You know what I'm saying? And that was due to protection. You know what I mean? It had a little bit to do with protection. He had to evade and run, and it crunched him up. You know what I'm saying?
Are you talking about
best thing to
against
do
the
is
Giants?
Dak Prescott. I'm talking about when Dak Prescott broke his ankle.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying? I know he was on the run and all that, so he had to get up out that pocket.
But
all
right.
I'm just saying. I'm saying that to say this, man.
But
if he can give us a little bit,
it was a quarterback. It was a quarterback draw. It was a quarterback draw. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, even better. Who would you want leading that quarterback draw? A tough guy that's going to pancake somebody, or a finesse guy that might say Olay? That's all I'm just saying. As far as Connor Williams, that's all I'm saying. But what I'm really saying is this, man. I love the new guy, the young guy's attitude, man. He's a kid from Dallas. He's going to take pride in what he learning his learning process. He's going to take pride in it. He's already a tough guy. That's natural. Mm-hmm. There's certain traits you can't teach. You know what I'm saying? He's enthused about being a Cowboy. He seems like he has Texas pride. I think that's a beautiful thing. And then at the same time, Scott, you just said a very key point to him being who he is. He moved from the defensive side because one of his friends was a quarterback and he got hurt. What you think he's gonna do for Dak Prescott? He might go back and see that film and see Dak damn foot off his leg and get pissed off and say, "Ain't nobody touching Dak. They're going to the showers. Ain't nobody touching him." And I'm gonna protect my quarterback. You know what I mean? He's going to become one of them dudes in that room. And you never know, by him becoming one of those dudes in that room, it might save Tyron Smith. You know what I mean? Help Tyron Smith out a lot. Because then if he develops into a good left guard, it's going to take pressure off of Tyron Smith. Now he ain't got to worry about that left guard so much. You know what I'm saying? Down the line, I give him a couple more years on this career that I got a strong left guard right next to me, so I ain't got to peep over here too much. He's going to hold it down.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I can worry about what's going on the outside, and Dak Prescott can feel confident enough to step up into that pocket and let that thing rip. or have a couple more seconds to make a run for it out that pocket. That's big. That's a big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To me, I feel like that's a big deal. Then at the same time, it might help Ezekiel Elliott prolong his career. You know what I mean? Because we're going to get back to what we was doing when Zeke originally got here, running the football, grinding and getting up, opening holes so he can get upfield. That's a big deal, setting the tone, man. I'm loving it because, you know what? We got lunch pail guys. We got tough guys. And that should be
applauded,
contagious because
okay.
I
thought you were going to say applauded, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's going to be contagious to both sides of the ball. We turning this team for a glitz and glamour team that wants to be seen. We ain't going to have people out here doing that swipe shit after somebody ran 20 yards on the damn field and they tackled them. You know what I mean? Shit like that, man. I'm ready for this team to get back to the old school Dallas Cowboys ways, being tough on both sides of the ball and setting the tone in big games against these teams.
I like that part.
Like, people know that.
That's the part I like.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's setting the tone. And wherever we go, people know they're going to have a game. It ain't going to be just, oh, man, we're going to be able to run straight up the gut at these boys. They can't stop us because they weak. I'm tired of that mentality. I want people to get pissed off and say, oh, hell no. You think y'all going to do this all again? Oh, hell no. We stopping this right now. Because what I seen last year in that playoff game, with all them damn penalties and on both sides of the ball, it showed no discipline. It showed no attitude. It showed no pride in our stadium. People should be scared to come into Dallas Cowboys Stadium and play football against us, especially in playoff time. We should be like, yo, if we ain't gonna win, we gonna make it feel like we won. Damn show, these dudes gonna know they played they played a hard team for them to advance. I'm tired of giving these games up at the last minute. I want to be punching people in the mouth from the word go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the pride part that I'm saying that the Cowboys need to step. So I'm glad they didn't go glitz and glamour in this draft, and a lot of people are pissed off, and they say, "Oh, this person was the best dude." This, that, and but does it match up with their board?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what matters at the end of it. It's about what they wanted. What's on their board? You know what I'm saying? I know our boards and stuff like that.
What did you want?
Huh?
What did you want? I'm just curious because you ain't really say that yet.
Honestly, the way that the board fell,
what did you want?
I wasn't happy
period.
with Lloyd. Who did I want? Period. Me personally, I wanted a top guard, somebody to protect Dak, because I'm tired of Dak not being able to step up in that pocket. I wanted somebody on the defensive side of the ball that's going to help Micah Parsons out. You know what I'm saying? So teams can't just.
Well, I was just talking about in the first round. I was just talking about in the first round.
Oh, just the first round? Yeah, somebody nasty, man. You know what I mean? It didn't matter on what side of the ball it was on. Just somebody nasty, a tone setter. And this dude seemed like he a tone setter, and he has pride because he's from Dallas, and we don't know. You know, I want somebody to have that same pride that Micah Parsons has on defense. Like, I'm gonna give it my all. You know what I'm saying? And knowing this dude from Dallas, he got people. I'm pretty sure he has people that's gonna be looking at him and looking up to him and looking for him to show up because he's from Dallas.
Yeah, he wants to be great.
Texas.
He could be from Pluto. Yeah. It sounds like he wants to be great, and I think that's what matters the most, man. But hey, Reek, we're gonna get going here before we keep talking in circles. All right, man. I want to get this.
All right, man. Hey, man. Hey, good to talk to you, Scott, man. Y'all had a great show. Y'all had a great show over the draft, man.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate y'all, man. All right, now. Peace.
Thanks, man. Yep. Yeah, you know, he Tyler Smith brings in that attitude there.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
Yeah. Brings in that attitude there, man. Reek be making some points we just gotta get to the one point. He be talking about 10 different things, but he's absolutely right in regards to the attitude and the toughness and wanting to be feared. The part where he said, because I always have to laugh when people say old school Cowboys football. Y'all know how I feel about hearing that, man. Jesus, this is why we need to win type stuff. I'm tired of hearing that. We need some success so we can have a new model to go about. But there's one thing that's tried and true, and that's trenches, right? That's tried and true. Now, when the trenches are, not the greatest, that's when coaching really, really matters, right? But the Cowboys had to get back to making the trenches a bit tougher. It just wasn't, right? But you can be tough as you want. You can be, have the attitude and all that stuff, but you still got to be able to perform. And that's where I think a lot of fans are skeptical. I think he can perform at the guard spot. Without a doubt, I do think he can do it. It just depends when he'll reach that ceiling, or not even just the ceiling, right? When he'll develop to be confidently reliable. And what I mean by that is I don't have to peek over there, Tyron Smith, right? Or Biadasz is going to have to help regardless, whether it's Zach or not. He's going to be looking both ways. But where Tyron can now focus on Chandler Jones, as opposed to having to worry about Tyler Smith dealing with Linval Joseph. You know what I mean? So whenever, and that could be week 6, week 7, week 5, week 10. Whenever he and the Cowboys are confident in that him being reliable, I think is when you can say, all right, we're good. Now it's just about continuing to develop. Excuse me. All right, Los. What's good with you, Los? Good morning.
Good morning, Sky. Happy Tuesday, man. Man, last night was kind of rough on me. I'm pretty sure you know why, but hey.
I didn't watch a single second of the Mavericks basketball, but I guarantee you the fact that you said that, they lost. Did they lose?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, but hey, I mean, shit, Luka put up 45.
Oh, don't do that.
But I'll say this, though. I really don't have a lot to say of what I already told you and Watch about how I feel about him. Sure. He's going to be a valuable piece. A for sure safe tape that Cowboys have interviewed. They worked out. So this coaching staff already has a better idea of his weakness and strengths. So I hope, right? He's going to be upfront and physical when he gets his hand on you. Yeah. And he's going to be physically when he finishes. He's going to put you to the ground. Let's not forget he's 6'5" and can be above 300 pounds. He started adding.
Did you say can be above?
No, he will be above.
He is.
Like adding more of that.
He's 325 right now, brother. Are you talking about You're talking about Tyler Smith, right?
Tyler Smith, right? Because I think before he was like two something, right?
No, he was not. He was always 300 plus. He came in Tulsa He came out of high school 312.
Gotcha. Yeah, and gotcha. He's 325, 6'5", and he started adding more of that weight room and more traits on his footwork. I think you get a good foundational piece, because I think that's everything you want in an lineman. As long as he's able to win with his physicality and make sure that his core underneath him is able to match those edge rushers, because even the best offensive linemen tend to hold. I mean, let's not get that wrong. They're in the NFL for a reason. But I think as long as he puts in work and works on his strengths and able to mask a weakness, like you said, Sky, dare I say, he's gonna be a greater piece than Connor Williams will ever be in that guard position that we ever had.
His ceiling is ridiculously higher than Connor Williams. Much higher.
Exactly. And not only that, I mean, you got to be a little crazy in those trenches, Sky. I mean, you got to be able to run, hit, and talk that crazy. You know what. And Tyler Smith has that, man.
Yeah.
So
he's got that mentality.
And I know you're going to touch on this player later in the weeks, and I'll end this with closing. But Marquise Bell from Florida A&M, you got to touch on him, Sky. Coming as an undrafted free agent, that's a huge steal. I mean, in my opinion, he's another attitude type of player that we're going to add to this era. So that's all I have to it.
Yes, he is. Appreciate you, Los. Thanks for the call, man.
All right. No problem, peace.
I definitely will be touching on Bell. Bell will probably be the first UDFA that I touch, And you're right. I think he is part of ushering in the Attitude Era too. To be honest with you, he would kind of be a tag team of sorts with J-Ron Curse. And here's what I loved. I posted that little clip on Twitter about the Attitude Era, and this is why I love the wrestling community. You had people on there saying, well, the acolytes, the APA, this is going to be Bradshaw and Farouk. This is going to be Big John Ridgeway and Osa, right? Then you had Micah and Sam Williams are going to be Harlem Heat. And I'm like, man, keep it going. And you heard somebody said Tank was Undertaker. And I'm like, oh, I like that one. Been there for a long time type thing. I think if Curse can get Marquise Bell under his wing, and I know we're ahead of schedule here, that's what you want. Him learning from a pro's pro and a guy who in this system turned into be a very, very reliable starter and a high-end starter and player in 2021. So, again, we'll get to Bell. He's probably going to be the first one I break down because I like safeties. And while the Cowboys aren't in desperate need of safety depth, they still could utilize one more. My only reservation is that he falls in the line of that more box type guy, and we talked about yesterday. Well, who would be the backup free? And honestly, T-Mac had a great answer. Let's just move Dono over there. I've seen Dono do some of those things. Now, do I want him up on the top all the time? Nah, but I've seen him do some type of things like that. Bell and Curse equal the Dudley Boys. Hey, I like it. Nah, Jay Lombardi, Curse ain't Stone Cold. Micah is Stone Cold. He is the guy that helped set the tone for the Attitude Era in Stone Cold. The Rock could be Curse, because with Curse, I don't even got my run hit talk shit button. But Curse was the guy always on the sidelines getting everybody riled up. Run, hit, talk. And you know, The Rock is the greatest. I know old school people are going to say Ric Flair, but I think The Rock is the greatest on the mic ever. Ric Flair's right there too, and then Y2J. All, top 3 on the mic in my lifetime. Period. The American Dream is up here too. Appreciate your sports guru for the $5 donation. Thank you, sir. All right, man, we got, speaking of wrestling, we got, ooh, yeah, Macho Man Danny Savage. What's up, brother? Oh, wait, let me get you in there. Now you're in here. You was muted. Go ahead, bro.
I think the Dudley boys are more DeGard, Tyler Smith, and Ridgeway. I think those are more Dudley boys because they got the size to them.
Okay.
You know.
I gave, Ridgeway, but I tried to keep it on the line. I said APA was Ridgeway and Osa. What about that?
I can see that. Or if Ridgeway is really, really, really nuts, we could throw the Mankind mask on top of him. You know what I'm trying to say? And
make him
go
crazy.
That route.
Or we could call him the Big Show.
Yeah. You know what's weird? I was watching a few of Smith's games the other night.
Yep.
And against Ohio State, somebody must have got hurt, and he even played center for a couple snaps.
You know what I'm trying to find? I'm so weird, but I'm trying to find the 2 snaps he played left guard. He only played 2 snaps, but I want to find it so bad. But I'm looking for it.
Yeah, so they do him inside. Somebody must have got hurt. I mean, they're really looking for a swerve if they do a stat route. You know, I don't see him going that route. I see him going to left guard. But my opinion is, you know, you put a kid to left guard, if he is successful, leave him there.
Yeah.
You know, just then you want to talk, what's the purpose of drafting Josh Ball and then the kid Walesko if you want to put this kid to left tackle?
That's a very good point.
That's just Stephen Jones. That's just Stephen Jones trying to get us to drink the Kool-Aid. No, man, leave this kid. This kid is a guard.
Well, let me be fair to them, and y'all know I'm hardly fair to the Joneses, but let me be fair to them. They never specified him primarily playing left tackle. What they did specify is that he'll work in on the left side because they love that versatility, right? They want to keep the what's the term that they call it? The having the versatility to go inside, outside. But so they never said he's going to play left tackle full time. Positional flex. Thank you. Positional flex. So I want to be fair to him in that stance. I do think that I think they hedged their bets clearly by taking Willetsko, and then you got Josh Ball there. If Josh Ball and Willetsko do develop into a starting left tackle, now you don't have to move Tyler Smith out there. You're good to go. But it sounds like they're hedging a bit.
A lot of scouts, when someone says, "Oh, positional flex," they look at it as, well, that he has no true position. Me personally, I'm old school. I'll teach Tyler Smith how to block. You know how? With boxing gloves on. He's gonna block. He's gonna go to training camp with boxing gloves. He's gonna learn how to block without being able to grab people. That's how. I
don't even think it's about him grabbing. It's not about him being like a handsy, grabby person. It's about his hands getting outside. From what I've seen, it's not him getting up there and trying to grab you and move you around. If he's able to control the discipline and the strike timing of, because that strike timing is way off. When I watched the Houston game, he gets by even when he misses because he's just a massive dude and athletic and you can't get around him. But even when he was winning a rep, he was losing with his hands because of the timing of his strike. So I just think it's about getting those things down with his hands in regards to discipline and when because he's 34.5-inch arms. He's got long arms. It's just a matter of using them.
I watched the Houston game, the Ohio State game, and the Oklahoma State game. Out of those 3 games, he had 8 holding penalties, and he probably got away with 8 more. But the crazy part is some of the holding penalties, the play's on the other side of the field. And then he's just trying to, he's going out of his way to try to murder his guy, and he's getting a flag.
Well, his coach said that. His coach said, sometimes he's flagged because the ref looks over and is like, wait, how'd that person get on the floor? Flag. Kind of like Tyron Smith.
No,
we see that happen a lot.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I already started. This is the guru starter pack. For everybody who wants to be a guru, it's very simple. Start watching spring games. I've watched Boston College's spring game, Clemson's spring game. Trying to think. There's a third. LSU. I've watched their spring games. So I start watching guys now, see who stands out, and then I put them in the back of my mind for the fall. So that's just me. I've always been a football fanatic. But great call, Sky.
Thanks, Daddy.
Talk to you. All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, man, I ain't watching those spring games, Danny. I ain't watching those spring games, bro. I am all in on the Cowboys, brother. All in. I love diving in, though, after the season and finding all the tape and stuff. And what I try to do, and more, and I learn it, is I'm still learning to add certain players during the season and sneaking off and trying to catch up on these players that may be consensus top 100. I like to start at least in the top 50 and then, to positions that I think the Cowboys will need. I didn't waste my time at all with running back. Didn't waste my time with quarterback. Didn't waste my time with safety, to be honest with you. Now, there were safeties I knew, but I told myself, nope, not doing it till they prove it to me. Not doing it. So that's how I cheat a little bit, is where I think the Cowboys will most look at, because when I do the study, I'm not doing it for the league. A lot of people want to be NFL, and there's certain people that's what they do. But I'm talking about media scouts or YouTube fans. Hey, man, I know all these 200 players. I'm not trying to do that. I'm looking at what do the Cowboys need and how would they fit here. Yes, that was Macho Man Danny Savage, a.k.a. The Guru. All right, let's get into the chat and we'll wrap this thing up. Really good timing today. Really good timing. Yeah, everyone is in agreement about his hand placement. I mean, go just take a look here and pull it back up. A lot of it, again, like I said, it's his hand placement and his, opening up his hips. I mean, you can clearly see that's the issue at tackle, right there. That's and his step, his kick step, sometimes which helps with just opening up his hips, is the issue. But he's got long enough arms. He just has to learn how to time that strike and get it right there. That while that looks like a win initially, it really wasn't. His hands were extremely sloppy. And I think if he can, get that slop fixed, there you go right there again. Missing with the hands and then leaning and falling over. A lot of this is tackle stuff, which is why I don't think he's ready to be a tackle just yet, because you can't afford on the blind side to miss on your kick step or miss with your hands or be inconsistent with hand placement. So, that's why, I look at him as a guy that move inside that guard and just stay there. Just stay there. Now, if it develops into a tackle, cool. But just stay there to me. Jay says, Honey Badger. What about the Honey Badger, good brother? Jay, he is with the Saints. Oh, okay. You said Smoke Monday is a Saint. Okay, you're talking about the undrafted free agents. Sports Guru. He's more athletic than McGovern, stronger than Williams. I agree. I totally agree. And that doesn't mean he's going to be better than them right now. If you go back and rewind this, if you're just jumping in on here and take a look at the very start of our rating the draft with Tyler Smith, the very first thing I said in the value aspect, or it might have been in year one impact, was that I do think he comes in here and he's going to be a hell of a run blocker, possibly at the very least just as good as Connor immediately, if not better. But where that can be mitigated is with him losing via technique. Where Connor lose via strength, he may lose via technique. So how much of a difference? Will he be such a mauler and imposing physical specimen and moving people in the ground game that you can get by with this technique for the time being? Or will his technique be so bad, even at guard, that, yeah, he might be moving people in the ground, but in the passing game, he's giving up interior pressure? That is the big question mark. That's the big question mark with him. CJ said, hey, Scott, think about Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith. See? Tyron Smith and Tyler Smith names on the jersey. So I actually saw on Twitter. Remember back in the day, if you had the same last name, you had to put your initials on the front? Interesting nugget about this. I think it's pretty cool. They don't do that anymore. And I heard it was because Kyle Brady went to the Patriots and they didn't want to have, T Brady and then K Brady on the jerseys. That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is. Who knows? But I'm already having a hard time doing Tyron and Tyler. So we got to come up with a good nickname. I like Pusha T. That was dope. I don't know who said it earlier in the chat, but Pusha T. And that's a rapper for those who don't know, but I love the double entendre about it. Pusha T. I like that. Try to stick that in. Pusha T. I'm going to try to get that going. Chris says he's already better than McGovern. Toxic says, Sky, this comes down to coaching. Do you trust Joe Philbin, a.k.a. Count Chocula, because he's old? In a way, it does, and it doesn't. Because this isn't 1992 or 75 or 82, where there's so many clinics, there's so many professionals, there's so many gurus at these positions that coaches don't have as much developmental power as one would think. That's not to say they don't have any, because I definitely do think that. I personally think they have more power schematically, more power in, hey, am I putting my guy in the right position to be better? They only have but so much time to work with these dudes due to the CBA. So with all these clinics and all these professionals to work on one specific thing for these players, whether it be quarterbacks, look at Dak. Dak's not sitting there working with whoever the hell the all quarterbacks coach is now. He's going out and he's working with other coaches, Tom Houses, et cetera, et cetera. Wide receivers, you see it all off season. Zeke. You see it with Zeke. So in a way, yes, Joe Philbin is going to have to help him kind of come along as a professional and show him what it takes to kind of win in this scheme or with this play call, et cetera, and obviously work on his technique as well. But I think he can have a quick jump start on becoming better and developing by going to a Marcus Cannon, Duke Manyweather, et cetera, These guys that, yeah, you're not at practice, but I don't need to be at practice to work on my development. And you want to hear that from guys. And it sounds like that's what he wants to do. So, Toxic, you're right. Do I trust the Joe Philbin situation? 1 year, I'm like, hey, man, looks like Joe got some of these young bucks playing pretty well. Then the next year, it's like, I mean, the only one we really saw develop was Steele, and no one's giving Joe any credit for that. Everything is going to Duke Manyweather. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if Joe is I don't think he's the guy long-term here anyway. So, in a way, I'm looking at this kind of beyond Joe Philbin. I think he'll eventually be off this team at some point, and it'll be up to Tyler Smith to develop anyway by himself. Not just by himself, but with other people. Takes a village. Sky, do you think Tyler Smith can be Ron Leary type guard? Oscar, if you remember during the draft show, that was the first thing I said to Foots. You know, after I let that initial shot go off on me, I said, you know, one thing I can tell you watching Tyler Smith is that he's going to be the nastiest guard, left guard, that you would have had since Ron Leary. Now, he comes in much more athletic than Ron. Ron had the degenerative knee. That was an issue with him. But he developed really quickly and he became a stalwart at that left spot. But his health kind of deteriorated on him when he went to Denver. So, yeah, I think he has some Ron Leary qualities and traits. And, again, I hope one of the best ones is that Tyron can look over to his right and say, you good. I don't got to worry about you. Let me focus on Kayvon Thibodeau. Captain America says Tyler Smith got two great mentors in Zach and Tyron. Absolutely. Totally agree. Jay says, I miss Kitna and Colombo. Definitely miss Kitna. Look what D. Ware did for Tyron. Every training camp, that is the thing that a lot of fans and myself like to bring back up because I think it's great, right? When you have a guy like D. Ware, a technician as well as a physical specimen that could bring in a young guy and help them along the way. Now, year one, Tyron, struggled obviously at right tackle a little bit, but they wanted to ease him in, then they flipped him over to the left side. But DeMarcus Lawrence, you hope you hear them. You hear him working with him. And I think D-Law worked with somebody last year. But you hope that you hear D-Law or DeMarcus Lawrence working with a Tyler Smith. Or, hell, even just a little, hey, big fella, talking about Dan Quinn. This is what guys on this other side like to do. I'm not saying they have to coach him. I'm just saying as a defender, as a defensive end, as a defensive line coach, they can tell him the tricks and trades of what the D linemen and edge rushers like to do to beat you, especially so this is what I would say. I'm just throwing it out there. You like to open your hips. This is how I'm going to beat you, but this is how you need to counter. Just hope Smith don't fall on Smith's ankle like McGovern. Ah, man. Yeah. I am low-key mad that Ware isn't a coach here despite him wanting to be here. Right? Cowboys tend to bring in guys they want, on the coaching staff. Big Cat been here forever. I want to say Miles Austin had a stint here, very short stint here. Philip Tanner was here. Obviously, Jason Garrett. So, yeah. I agree. Our lines will make each other better. That's the point. That's the hope, right, Steven? That those guys help each other out, the battles in camp. Listen, I can't wait to go to camp or just watch camp. I think John Ridgway probably is going to be the first person to get into a fight. The first person. And it might be with Tyler Smith. Woo, that's going to be a heavyweight match right there. You got the Big Show against Mark Henry. Tell me that ain't what that is. Big Show, Mark Henry. Play after play at camp. Somebody's getting into a fight. Period. All right, let's wrap this thing up, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great show. Let me know, in the comments, whether it be right here or after the show's over, how you guys felt about the Rating the Draft series. I don't know. It'll be a surprise. I don't know what we'll do moving forward in regards to it with the players. It probably will be Sam Williams next, to be honest with you. And we might eventually just go in order because we got time. We're not really rushing this thing, right? I'm going to try to get Connor Livesay on when I do that Rating the Draft because he interviewed Sam. He did extensive research on Sam. And I think I love the interaction that they had with Welcome to the Boys. So we'll see if we can get him on here. Also working on Duke Manyweather as well. I told y'all I reached out to him. I reached out to him prior to the draft. I said, we're going to take offensive linemen, and I just want to get your take on the show about it. So we'll try to get that. And then next week, we got Doc Talk back, and we'll talk about the injury to Damone Clark. I'm really interested in that one. In fact, I might reach out to him just selfishly and say, hey, is he going to be all right? So, because if he is, boy, in 2023 and beyond, you got a really good three-headed monster at linebacker. F word Montgomery says first practice fight, Ridgeway and Smith. Big Show and Mark Henry. I'm telling you. Think I'm playing. Watch. All right, let's head on up out of here later tonight. Danny says Steven is Hornswaggle. Oh, that's funny. Later tonight, man. Later tonight, Mauricio Rodriguez will be back on the channel. Make sure y'all tune in for that. Again, he's been doing fantastic work. And then working on a new segment with our writers on A to Z Sports Dallas.com. So check out that. We're going to try to get those guys to come on for a segment or two about the, called Writer's Block. That's what I'm working on. So we might get our guy Matt involved in the show as well. A lot of good stuff coming up, man. Y'all know me. I'm always looking for more innovative and new ways to make this show bigger and better so you guys can keep coming back, be entertained, be informed, and be a part of this community. I absolutely love doing this. So y'all keep on rocking on and hit that like button on the way out. With that said, oh, Montgomery, I am not sleeping on Clark. I'm not sleeping on Clark. 5th round pick if he comes back healthy in 2023. I would absolutely love that trio. I would. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:15-ish. Love y'all. Y'all be safe. We out here. Peace.
I don't have the patience to jack with you today.